Hello everyone, it is me, I'm a Nerd Politics, also known as Colson Kaufman. Don't mind my lip, I have a cold sore, and it is painful enough and painful to just even show my face on camera because of it. That is not the point of today's video. The point of today's video is that the first debate, the first coming up debate, is in roughly, from when you are seeing this video, it will be by tomorrow, because when I'm recording this, it's 11:30 at night, and it's June 25th. So by the time you're seeing this, it'll be tomorrow. Okay, it'll be the 26th. Anyhow, the point being is, how is this debate going to turn out? My answer? Absolutely fucking stupid. Absolutely goddamn stupid. I mean, let's face it. The debate 4 years ago with this same two candidates, Trump and Biden, was a complete, utter disaster. Trump trying to make points that Joe Biden obviously couldn't make two sentences form together to make sense, but Trump also not using his time very well and rather just attacking his opponent rather than having a configurative debate or argument in the first place. It was disastrous 4 years ago. God only knows what 4 years later is going to turn out. I think the problem is that, one, Joe Biden's too old, can't form two sentences together, and has no idea what the hell he's talking about half the time. He's the president now. The problem that I see on Trump's end, though I am a supporter, there is a big amount of problems in this whole debate. The first thing I want to bring up is that I think this is almost majorly unfair in the amount of debates they're running. They should have 4 even debates, because the 3 debates I have, 2 of which are hosted by Democratic news sources, CNN and CBS, and then the third one is Fox News. It's just, Donald Trump has to get past 2 Democratic spokespeople, orators for this debate, and somehow, saying there's no cheating involved, or saying there's no suspicious activity in between, and then has to get to Fox News, which is going to be a little bit more lighthearted, and then hope from the best from there. They should have 4 even debates, 2 Democratic, 2 Republican. It just makes so much more sense. They won't do that, of course. That's been already made up that they're not going to do that, but it would have made more sense. The second point of the matter is that the rules that Joe Biden gets to do, because, he's basically, he's this 80-year-old man who's being potty trained, okay? Not something the president's supposed to be doing or being done, but he gets all of these options. Like, here's how I'm going to do it. Here's what I want to do in this scenario. The accommodations a president gets, especially Joe Biden, because everyone treats him like a 5-year-old who is spoiled and rotten at the core, right? So here's the problem, is that a lot of the accommodations for Joe Biden, in this case, there's no live audience, so I've heard, which it doesn't even make sense, because that just gives him more of an opportunity to read off of some sort of, speech written for him, either in his hands that he'll probably bring up many times, or just on a board somewhere else for it to be read off of. A teleprompter, yeah. There's probably more likely a chance that if there's no live audience, then there's a bigger chance that Joe Biden has a live teleprompter helping him through the debate, which I guess, Donald Trump will not be able to bring up, because that would be breaking the accommodation rules or making things seem like they're uneven, which they already are. And also, a lot of his accommodations, the accommodations like, turn the mics off when you can. It's a good idea. That is one thing Joe Biden does have that's a good idea. Turning the mics off after time is done. It's a good idea. However, no matter what president you do it with, the other candidate running against you is guaranteed not to follow that rule. I guarantee it. If you look at any of the last debates in the United States within the last roughly 20 years, pretty much since Al Gore started in the debates, it hasn't been a argument of I'll go first, I'll go second, I'll go back, I'll go fourth. It has been a more of a I'll go, no, you shut up, you're wrong, and here's why, even though it's not my time, you're wrong, okay? That's what a debate has turned into, and it's not supposed to be that way at all. There is time limits for a reason. You have your time to talk, they have their time to talk, and then you argue within that timeline, within the second period of timeline towards each other. That's where you both talk at each other, not while during someone else's speeches. You're allowed to point out the wrongs, but not during someone else's time. So, Joe Biden making this decision of turning off the mics, it's a great idea, but, I guarantee that Donald Trump and Joe Biden will overspeak over the mic to make it, very aware that they're speaking when they're not supposed to. It's a good idea on paper, it's not a good idea. It's a good idea on paper, but it's not properly done off the script, I guess, is the best way to put it. So a lot of the accommodations make sense on paper, and some of them actually just don't make sense at all. Those are just the main two I wanted to bring up. But they don't work if the other candidate is not 100% willing to give in. Donald Trump, as I do support him, there is going to be problems in this debate. The main problem I wanted to speak about is that Biden is going to try, and by try I mean very low, put to almost no effort, into talking about modern day issues that he has been a hypocrite towards himself, saying, oh, I'll fix that, and then did the opposite, and then said I fixed it when I didn't, and then said I didn't fix it when I did. It's a whole clutter of just what the fuck, okay? Just what the fuck. And here's Joe trying to talk on modern day issues. He can't even say numbers right, nor sentences. I don't know how that's gonna go. If the teleprompter can't help him, nothing can. That's just the main problem we have there. But he's going to talk on problems in the world. I don't know what the topics are because they don't say the topics until the day the debate happens. And when the day the debate happens, only about 20% of Americans only give a shit, including myself, to read and listen to what every word is said and written down, because the other 80% don't listen to that and forget it after the next day. We're aware of that, of course. I mean, look at ballots. People don't research their ballots like I would, or like my parents do. They don't research their ballots to see who they're voting for. They just say, that looks like a good name, I'll check it off. That's a problem. Not the main thing, though. Kind of a separate thing by itself. But talking about issues like immigration, talking about issues like the inflation rate and how gas prices, stocking market just, and everything else just kapow, kabang, just, just a mess, just an absolute clutter. I mean, let's face it here, I am almost 17, but once I turn 18, if Joe Biden wins this election for another 4 years, being that 17, okay, I'll be 21 when he's done, I can guarantee you I will not be able to afford an apartment in 4 years with another 4 years of Joe Biden. Hell, most people right now who are college students can't even afford dorm rooms, can't even afford apartments on their own because the jobs they work at can't manage enough money on a, their daily amount salary, their weekly amount, their monthly amount, their yearly amount cannot even come forward to paying for an apartment. It's insane. I think more than 80% of current college students in the United States could not, and that's just an estimation that is not fact-checked by anything, but I would imagine 80% of college students right now, with Joe Biden's Bidenomics skills that he presents to the table, cannot afford their own apartments with just one job. It's many jobs at a time, and it's stressful, and overworking yourself will kill you. That if that wasn't obvious, then I don't know what is. But Bidenomics has not worked. Bidenomics has worked way worse than Reaganomics. Reaganomics was a great thing, but it didn't help small corporations as much as it should have. The idea behind Reaganomics is tax the very wealthy and hope that money trickles down to the lesser people, which it did in the middle class and it did in the somewhat higher class. But if you're talking about corporations, small business, not small corporations, if you're talking about small businesses and you're talking about the poor, it did absolutely nothing. It helped big corporations, and it really didn't have any effect on big billionaires, but it did help the economy during that time, even though it was crashing. I mean, trillions of dollars being spent towards the amount of debt we have during the 1980s that did help the people in some, but not the economy in another, versus Bidenomics, which hasn't helped the economy, hasn't helped the people, and is a just natural, well, not even a natural disaster, a human-made disaster. Bidenomics doesn't even have a point. It's not a PEAC. It doesn't have a point. It doesn't have evidence to prove that it's well organized and well orchestrated. Its analysis to why that is that there is no analysis, and the conclusion is that Bidenomics doesn't work. The inflation rate is insane. Gas prices soaring to $4 a gallon on average. In other states, even higher than that. We're talking about $6 or $7 a gallon. It's a problem. But there's the problem, too, with Trump's side, is that Trump is not going to argue against these problems in the United States. If you've seen any conference with Trump, neither, it being on a podcast, it being on an interview on 60 Minutes, whatever it be, Trump hasn't actually said in detail on what issues he's going to fight on. All he has said is that he is going to say that Biden is basically a worthless piece of crap, that he is, but it's not very strong enough to win in a debate in any matter. Also, coming to this, is Trump here, as I've just mentioned, he's not going to fight on the issues, he's only going to fight on the wrongs that Joe Biden has done, which he has done, but he's not going to go into why there are problems. He's just going to go on, Biden's old, and he's rotten to the core, and he is not fit for president. That's a great thing. People know that, but it doesn't change Democratic voters to vote for you. It just makes yourself look like a public embarrassment if you're not going to fight on the problems like immigration and inflation. He does say that he's going to write more tariffs. Great. What are those tariffs? He does say that he's going to go to the border and close it off and keep building it. That's great. How are you going to do that, being that Joe Biden's taking over with his Bidenomics idea? His whatever the fuck Bidenomics really is. Trying to figure out what Bidenomics is trying to find out what 0 divided by 0 is. You can't do it. It's seriously just not possible. And I haven't really brought up any things myself that can make Joe Biden, this don't vote for him guy. But I can say that this is not going to be a very well demonstrative debate. You have one guy who can't find himself with 2 hands, an ass, and a map. And you have another guy who, Trump, he knows the points that are wrong, but he will not, and I know he will not, tell us why that is. Even if he does, he's still going to morally focus on roasting the hell out of Biden. Good for you, that's great. That is great. But it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't accommodate for any reason why you're the better candidate. It just makes you look like a sore crybaby on stage. But again, I could be wrong because he did the same thing in 2016 and won the election. But, you know, that's different times. 2016 was a little bit different because it was against a woman, and a lot of people in the United States at the time didn't really trust having a woman for president, or were too scared to. I wouldn't say trust, but were too scared to admit to having a woman for president. I don't really care who it is. I just wish it was someone with a brain and someone that would argue with actual points, evidence, analysis, and conclusions, rather than someone that roasts people on stage in hopes that it just becomes a rage bait. And also, can we get some goddamn younger people in the office? I mean, goddamn. Trump running now is 78. Joe Biden right now is like 82? Like 82 or something? Like, no, wait. Yeah, he's like 82. Like, the guy's extremely old. These guys, like, there's nothing in that head of theirs. It's white noise. There's nothing up there. Can we get some people, maybe, I don't know, in their 40s, like John F. Kennedy's age, or Roosevelt's age, you know, like Theodore Roosevelt? Like, can we get some younger people with intelligence? Just something? I mean, Vivek would have probably been a good option had, you know, Trump not won or anything. But, like, Jesus, I mean, seriously. For both parties, including the independent party, because I haven't spoken on Robert F. Kennedy Jr., because he doesn't plan on being at the debate. He plans to use the footage from the debate, he knows it being already a cluster, using that, and then helping his own campaign. That's great, but you're only on 2 ballots in the United States, both in Utah and Massachusetts, your home state. You're not going to win. By popular vote, I'd say so. By electoral, you help probably Trump in this case more than you do Joe Biden. But it's just like, oh my god. This debate is going to be horrible. Have you know that. Comment your opinion though, because of course my opinion is nothing more than just an opinion, I guess. So leave your opinions down in the comments down below. And until then, I will see you all in the next political video. See y'all, guys.